a system approaching perfection.
We'll walk deeper into the belly of the beast if it means I'm able to...
Alright guys, this is Danny from the Crypto Show, and I'm at the Crypto House, and they seem to rhyme. Sounds pretty cool. And John Wise here actually has something to do with Crypto House. How did this get started?
Yeah, so this whole thing kind of came together over the last couple of weeks, actually. This whole thing was planned a couple of weeks ago. I don't want to single anybody out because there were a lot of people involved in it, and I'm bound to forget one name. But yeah, you know, basically we were called and they said, hey, we'd really love your help to just get some of the most amazing speakers possible, some of the most amazing content. I was kind of asked to drive the creative aspect of this, the content, the discussions, whatever we're going to be doing there, put together these panels and the format of everything.
I see you brought the greatest guy in crypto here, Bill.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing the people that have come in general. I mean, it's such a wide range. I mean, we've had everything from huge enterprise corporate executives to investment bankers to hedge fund managers to economists, philosophers.
I walked in and Patrick Byrne was here giving a speech. That was pretty cool. So I didn't even know that was going to happen. I just when I was done, I came over here and showed up, and here it was. And this is kind of popping up all over the country. These new crypto houses, crypto embassies. In LA, it's called Crypto Space. Are you guys you have any plans of making maybe a permanent location?
This is a permanent location.
Okay, this is going to be
location. This is going to be the official Crypto House.
Okay, so this will. Have you thought about like working with Jeffrey Tucker maybe and just naming it a Crypto Embassy here, because he has that going on? We're going to be working with him in Austin to create the type of location.
I don't know him. I'd be happy to meet him. That sounds great.
You should definitely reach out to him and get this marked as a new crypto embassy and get in on the network with that.
Sure.
So you're working with some other things too. What are some of the projects that you're actually working on?
Yeah. So I'm the CEO of Loci. We do intellectual property as a tradable asset class. But we also do consumer-facing product for discovering novelty, prior art, searching, things like that. It sounds pretty boring, but it's actually pretty impactful on a larger scale. I'm also the co-founder of the Digital Asset Trade Association. We're the ones responsible for Wyoming, Colorado,
cool.
some of the other things. And I'm the founder of the Top Tier Affiliate Group. Also, several other things I'm involved in. A lot of investments and sort of advising.
Okay, so for your main project, why would I need that, and how would I use it for the digital assets?
For Loci, you say? So really what it is looking at the main stores of value that everybody offers, right? That people offer in general. In my eyes, every product in the world comes down to three root things. You look at it from the materials needed to build the thing, right? The people to exert energy, effort to create, sell, market, right? And an idea of what that product is in the first place, right? Well, if you really look at it from an economics perspective, the materials are traded on commodities markets, right? These exist. The effort and energy, those are traded on equities markets. Where are the ideas traded? Steemit? I don't know. They don't exist. Yeah. There is no exchange for them.
I guess they sell your ideas on Facebook, but they sell you.
Sure. I mean, look, if you're not paying for a product, you are the product, right?
Right, exactly.
So, there's a big reason for this, though. Why do you think there's no exchange for intellectual property? It's one of the largest and most valuable asset classes in the world.
I never realized there wasn't.
Yeah, well, exactly. It gets kind of looped into equities markets, right? Where there's a very subjective valuation for it. But there's a simple explanation. There's no exchange for it because it's not taxable. There's no on-ramp or off-ramp that you can do. Well, the other aspect of it is that there's an extremely subjective valuation for it. There's a huge margin of error associated. We've created a fairly esoteric, complicated system for how to do it, but it's a big problem, sometimes needs pretty big solutions. We created a completely relative valuation, something that's based purely on novelty. Cryptocurrency and blockchain were perfect for this. And if you really think about it as well, kind of the perfect use cases for blockchain, any immutable ledger that's auditable, is property, right? Intellectual property is right up there. And in fact, intellectual property is already digital. It's already digitized. It's a great store, and blockchain's beautiful use case for it.
So music and video stuff like that.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting the beachhead through inventions themselves first. We've created.
I think there actually is a platform for that, but I don't know how far.
For what?
Tokenly. But you could put digital assets on there for sale, your music and things like that.
So there are several digital asset
like iTunes type deal.
Yeah, there are several digital asset exchanges. I mean, one of them is Wax, for instance, could be exactly for something like that. The hard part is the valuation, right? The other aspect of the thing is that IP is not one of those things that you want to decentralize the enterprise itself. You actually don't want to decentralize something like the recipe for anthrax or a nuclear bomb or weapons of mass destruction. You really don't want everybody to have that, right?
Not everybody.
No, but what you can do is you can decentralize the transaction and the valuation metric of that. You can create a crowd-derived valuation for it and take sort of the take the incentives and align them as much as possible. So what you end up getting is this mutually aligned system where you can crowdsource. Enterprises can now crowdsource R&D. Inventors can mine their own currency through something that enterprises ultimately end up needing to buy, right? Which means you can either discount your purchase of said product or they need to buy it from you. And at the same time, you end up aligning the regulation around this. You end up sort of creating a globalization of intellectual property. You align as many of these aspects as possible.
Awesome.
One of the big things we were talking about here was aligning incentives.
Yeah. I missed most of that speech.
Oh,
I just caught in at the end of it. I just rolled in here a little bit late.
What a shame, man.
So how does someone get involved in this? How do they use it for themselves?
Loci? So you can go to loci.io. loci.io. The product's live now. We're on here somewhere. Yeah, we got right here. All over the place.
Yeah.
And there's a big one right there on the CryptoHou.se banner as well. But yeah, you can go to loci.io. If you have an idea, by all means, use the system. Go and try it out and see if your idea is novel, if it's worth something. Actually, that's something I'd like to bring up here is really two things. So the first is that we have this generalized concept that an idea is worthless without execution.
Yeah.
Well, then why does any enterprise fight over the idea? Why do we have IP to begin with? That means it's intrinsically valuable, right? They can execute really well, right? Enterprises, businesses are very, very, very good at executing. They're horrible at being nimble and innovative. Alternatively, individuals are very good at being innovative and nimble. They're horrible at executing.
Right. Yeah,
so
definitely.
why don't we bifurcate this? Right? Why don't we separate this out and make it so that individuals can basically mine this currency by coming up with ideas that can get packaged and offered to enterprises that they need to get. Then the enterprises need to buy the currency from the individuals in order to buy these packages and buy the ideas themselves.
When you say mining, what do you define mining?
So the way this system works is that there's a foundation. This is going into the economics of it, but there's a foundation that buys inventions at the novelty discovery stage. So this is called prior art. Let me back up a little bit and give a little bit of an explanation on how IP works, and specifically inventions. So any time an inventor comes up with something new, he or she also, they name that invention, but the first thing that they have to do is discover if the idea exists before.
Right, and then to file for the patent and all that.
Well, filing for the patent is a long process. Do you know how long it typically takes to receive a granted patent?
Quite a few years. It's
how many
usually. I have no idea actually.
It's between 6 and 8 years.
6 and 8 years.
What do you think it costs?
Probably quite a bit.
Just throw a number out there. What do you think?
Millions.
No, it's about $130,000 in the U.S. is the average cost.
$130,000.
Now, how many Americans can afford $130,000 with such a low probability of success and not hearing about it for 6.5 years?
Everybody that's running Consensus?
No, I mean, even still, right? The enterprise pays for it.
CoinDesk can afford it?
Well, sure, yeah, but and then you look outside of the U.S., it gets even harder.
Yeah, exactly.
The point there is that the patent systems in 2014, and there was another law before that, went towards this first to file basis. That means the first inventor to file for the patent ends up getting the patent, right? It used to be a first to invent system or first to discover, things like that. In doing that, they realized that with the expense and the difficulty of actually obtaining a patent, or anything along those lines, that there's a big exposure risk. Inventors needed to go and raise money in order to file for the very thing that they needed to raise money for, which meant they needed to talk about it. So what the patent offices did all around the world, but specifically starting in the US, is that they said, okay, well, we'll create two provisions to this. The first is called the provisional patent. Instead of the $5,500 filing fee, it's now going to be $99. But it only lasts 1 year, not the 20 years. Okay? And that 1 year period allows you to file a full patent. It's called a non-provisional patent, like a utility or design patent, within that 1 year period. If you don't file in that 1 year period, it becomes public domain, meaning no longer patentable by anybody. Okay? The second provision that they did was they realized that there were a lot of people that came up with inventions and went straight to product, or discussed it, or released a white paper like so many in the crypto space do. Ultimately, what this ended up meaning is that those people didn't need to go through the patent process. They wanted to grant the same 1 year grace period to file a non-provisional patent. Now, all of that is somewhat esoteric, right? But what that basically means is that the very discussion of your idea secures your invention for a 1 year period. And it secures it by meaning by
the old mail yourself a letter trick and all.
Exactly. That came from this exact thing. This provisional. It's called the public disclosure clause. What we realized is that the very act of searching to see if your invention exists actually can claim that same right.
So you're basically time-stamping the awareness of that.
Yep, and how can we do that? And how can we timestamp immutably and audibly? Yeah, exactly. Blockchain, right?
There you go.
So now what somebody can do is they can actually search to see if their invention exists and have an asset that works. What they then can do is they can sell that asset for coin. They haven't put any efforts at all towards filing a patent, but they can effectively block somebody else's patent. They could block if
they were to search that idea and put it out there first,
which means it has intrinsic value, right? So they can now sell that for coin. That sits in this foundation, which backs all the currency. It becomes an asset-backed currency. Okay, they can sell that for coin to the foundation. The foundation packages hundreds or thousands of different inventions together and sells it for greater than the sum of its parts to an enterprise. Say like buying the 1,000 inventions around an iPhone.
Or opening up a bunch of websites that you hope someone will want.
Exactly. It's creating these stakes, right? It's creating claims and sort of parsing out all of this stuff. That creates huge competitive advantage for whatever enterprise or business buys it. In doing so, that business, that enterprise, has to buy the coin in order to buy the inventions. So where do they buy it? They have to buy it from the inventors, which sets a fair market value, right? Immediately creating this complete cyclical structure whereby anybody that wants to be able to create these products and get the competitive advantage to do it needs to buy the currency in order to buy the ideas, the assets that they want. So
awesome.
It's a bit esoteric, it's a bit complicated, but
no, I get the idea.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just amazing all the different ideas that people can apply blockchains to. And then there's a lot of ideas that have no need for a blockchain.
Absolutely.
I wish they would exclude some of those. Like you see a lot of that with ICOs and things. There's I don't know, CryptoKitties. I guess that's cool, but I don't know what use.
Well, I mean, it proved a pretty big exposure. Right. Unfortunately for us, we launched the same day. We launched our token sale the same day that CryptoKitties went live. And
really?
Between both of us, I think we hit like 96% of the market.
Oh wow.
Potential. So it was pretty rough. It's pretty rough.
All right. So it's
Loci.io. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.